I don't know if you knew this, but I have a podcast. That's right. I actually have a podcast called Asking for a Friend. It's still in its infancy. I only have about 2 episodes. I only have 2 episodes. The second one actually comes out today. It's with a guest named Jordan Layao, and he and I work together at a marketing agency here in Chattanooga. And he has a really interesting story. He's very young. He's only 25 years old, but he's somehow been able to cultivate a pretty successful career in a varying degree of different kinds of industries. And I was very curious about how he did that. So he and I go into a pretty deep conversation about business and success and how to navigate those waters and make sure that you're always learning and always growing as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. And the ideas that he talks about are completely universal, meaning that you can apply his methodology for success to any different other industry that you might be in. And so I wanted to share this with you. This is just a little bit of an excerpt from the conversation that we had. The full podcast is actually linked below. It's going to be on SoundCloud. So please do go check that out. So yeah, enjoy episode 2 of Asking for a Friend. All of the things that you talked about and all of the principles that you've put into place for various prospective companies and propositions that you've had over the past. How do you think that they all sort of mold together to create the success that you've been able to cultivate for yourself? What do you think were the main defining factors for you finding your own personal success? Because it's very clear that you have been successful in your endeavors. So what do you think, if you were to think critically on your professional life, what were the key things that kept you successful? Because it seems like everything that you've gone for so far, not to say that you haven't had failures, but you certainly, the ones that we've talked about, they seem to have all been very successful.
Yeah.
You built a music festival. You helped cultivate an incredible career of people creating skateboards. You realized in the first instant that business development and marketing was your interest based on a internship / shadowing with a PT specialist. What do you think? Why do you think your insightfulness, what about your insightfulness, or why were you able to be so insightful and so precise with your decision making to not have a misstep? I think is a real question. Mm-hmm. How is it possible that you never misstepped in this whole thing? I think that's the most curious thing to me, is that there doesn't seem to be a misstep here. Because for me, it took me a really long time. Like I said, it took me a really long time to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And it took me a lot of critical thinking about the missteps that I've had to figure out exactly. It was like, oh, that didn't work, so let's go the other way. Oh, that didn't work either, so let's go this way. So I kind of niched down to my interests, which is what I'm doing now. So for you, it seems like you've always kind of gone on the right path. Now, do you think that was just dumb luck, or or what? I think because a lot of people are going to be like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah, I think
because you're a lot younger than people that are, and a lot more successful than the people that are doing what you're doing and not doing it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with just. And I think I want to touch on the point about you saying how it took you some time to kind of figure out versus me. I think everyone's journey is different. And full disclosure, I still have those moments of confusion and wondering about what am I doing? So it's not and I don't want to paint a false picture. It's not I know and I'm solid and I'm just sure. Every day works out for me. I still have moments of just kind of damn, I don't what the fuck am I doing,
Let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like a fraud?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have those moments. I'm not going to say often, but I do have them more often than I care to admit. It's like,
Yeah.
oh God, do I deserve to be doing what I'm doing right now?
But I do know that one thing that's helped me is just like the drive to learn, right?
Right.
So that's one part of it, and then also like just like consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the whole driving to learn. Like, just fucking be curious. Just fucking be curious, and don't be afraid to like learn. And one thing is, learning does take work and it sucks. But I mean, I was skateboarding. I learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
The marketing firm, I was designated to like do some logo designs. I had no idea how to do like any type of logo designs. I learned that on YouTube. Music festival, I had to like write like this fucking like just, I basically had to be like a project manager, essentially, for it. And so I went on YouTube, right? Just I YouTube the shit out of anything, and that's how I've learned how to like figure shit out, you know, like,
so you have
same thing with like Spectruss, like, and I don't want to I don't want to simplify things, like
it's not to say
like,
that it isn't a complex,
like it does take forethought, and it does take mistakes, and it takes learning, but like essentially you have a amazing resource, Google, YouTube, and that's essentially how, you know, like I just learned and then applied it, made mistakes, learned from those mistakes, and kept sharpening that that skill. You
essentially are a professional product of the internet.
I mean, I thank God for the internet every day.
Yeah.
So that's the driving to learn, and then the other side is consistency, and that's like a whole other, I mean, you could do a whole podcast on just that, but like consistency takes a lot, right? Like consistency,
I have struggled with that in my entire professional career. Consistency. Like not only consistently, like if we were to break it down to Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that, consistently posting, but also being consistent in my content and its nature, like making sure that my content is quintessentially my style, because I'm always experimenting, I'm always trying new stuff and all this stuff. But like consistency on a micro basis.
But it's a tough situation for you too, because it's so saturated, you know.
Right.
You know, everyone and their mother is doing Instagram, you know, so it's and I understand that, you know, it's difficult,
but to get back to like consistency from your perspective, like rather than from content creation, but actually like business development is what I'm curious about. Consistency in sort of that realm. I want you to talk about that.
So I think, like, again, it's just, you know, like a lot of people are afraid of like, you know, taking risks and like making mistakes and stuff, and you know, like to a certain degree, it's good to be balanced, but like, you know, like just make mistakes, right? But be consistent in learning through those mistakes.